What we do here is to help you to make the right choices. This is plus 275, and our focus is in the Upper West region. This morning, the Nadowli district is one of the 9 districts in that region, and that is where we are, and precisely in the Nadowli Kaleo constituency. That constituency is a very hot one, particularly in the fact that the incumbent is the majority leader in parliament, and exactly how the other contestants are ready to battle him is what will be the focus of our conversation this morning. Unfortunately, the incumbent didn't turn up for the conversation this morning, and his contenders are here to tell us why they think that they are the best to represent that constituency. Quickly, let me tell you who they are. Now, he comes from the camp of the NPP, and he said that he's ready to dethrone the incumbent member of parliament. In fact, when he was elected in his primaries, the first thing he said was that he's going to put an end to the reign of the incumbent member of parliament. I'm talking about Elvis Botta, the NPP candidate for the Nadowli Kaleo constituency. Elvis, good morning, and thanks so much for joining us on Plus 275.
Good morning, Bright.
And how is the constituency receiving you?
Constituency is fine, grounds are good, my people know what's good, and so they are going in for that.
And Elvis is the man they are asking for.
Elvis Botta is actually the household name now.
I'm grateful, and welcome to Plus 275. From the camp of the PNC, now he leads that party into 2016 elections as the chairman of the party, but back in his hometown, he is asking for the mandate of the people to contest that seat that has been occupied by the NDC incumbent for so many years. Bernard Mona is contesting on the ticket of the PNC for the Nadowli Kaleo constituency. Bernard, good morning, and thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Bright.
And how is the constituency receiving you too?
The only reason why you have not called me the MP is that the elections are waiting for December 7th.
Right.
I am the MP in waiting, and so possibly on December 8th, you will come to celebrate the victory in Sankana.
How sure are you that you can defeat the man who's accepted the tag of Nadowli Kaleo Mugabe?
I think he's even gone beyond being called a Mugabe. He has publicly said that he is an Umar Bongo. Mugabe might have stayed on the throne for long, but Umar Bongo died on the throne. And what our MP is saying is that there is no chance for him to get down. He has to die on the throne. We don't want him to die. We want him to retire to see the new lease of hope that will be unleashed on the constituency. And I think that the message is going down well because nobody wants him to die.
Right. I'm grateful, gentlemen, for your time. Bernard Mona of the PNC.
But why didn't he come? Because the assurance we got is that he is coming.
He was going to make it. He was going to back. He couldn't make it.
He's already vacated the seat.
So perhaps it shows that he's ready to step down for the two of you to do the battle. And welcome once again. It's a friendly conversation we're going to have here. 2 minutes, I'll give you the time to answer questions. And of course, you can react to what your contender will say. But let's show our people that it is a battle of ideas. Let us give ourselves a handshake, the two of you, the PNC candidate and the NPP candidate, a handshake for the pictures. That's a hug. Grateful. That's what we are sending across as we get ready for December 7. It's a battle of ideas and not one of war. And so we're focusing our attentions on that. Once again, welcome to Plus 275. Let's start our conversation. Elvis Botta, I'm coming to you straight away. You are the candidate representing the NPP. Let's quickly take a look at Nadowli Kaleo. What is it that perhaps that constituency is lacking all this while that has given you the impetus to say that, give me the mandate, I'll go to parliament and help you to get the development, help you to make the laws that will improve your laws in that constituency. In 2 minutes, address this for me and let your constituents listen to you.
Thank you very much, Bright. I first of all like to extend greetings to the good listeners of your program. I particularly extend gratitude to the New Patriotic Party, my original chairman Alhaji Short, and all well wishers. And people of the Nadowli Kaleo constituency, I say, yeah, answer. Bright, we just ask a question on which primarily the purpose of this contest borders on. You realize that Nadowli Kaleo constituency for the past 24 years have been occupied by one person, in the person of the majority leader currently. You look at the constituency and we are bedeviled with massive youth unemployment. We want to talk of the youth and you see everybody actually loitering on the streets, those that have attained education and those that have not. Youth unemployment is a problem. We have our women battling day in and day out, selling charcoal, carrying firewood, just to make ends living. The society is highly impoverished. Let us look at agriculture, which is even the main focus of the people. Nothing seems to be happening. They are unable to afford fertilizers. They are unable to actually increase productivity, simple because of lack of leadership. Infrastructure is something we cannot even mention. There is nothing good to talk about, but for the only road that links Wa through to Jirapa and its environs, that is the only third road in the constituency. Educational standards are falling. BEC and WASI performance are going down. The health sector, we have nothing good to talk about. So motorable roads is an eyesore. And this seems to have deflated hope and aspirations of the people. The very reason I am in this contest, the fact that I want to make sure that my leadership and the leadership of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, president in waiting, next year will want to revamp the aspirations of these people and to offer them sensitive
30 more
leadership,
seconds
to make sure that people of the Nadowli Kaleo constituency see what real development really is and to be able to actualize our aspirations as people.
I'm grateful. Elvis Butter of the NPP asking for the mandate of the people of Nadowli Kaleo constituency of the Upper West region. I'm grateful for your submission there. Now let's go to the man who says that he's the member of parliament in waiting, and the reason why we're not calling him that is because December 7 is yet to come. Bernard Mon to take the seat from the incumbent member of parliament. Bernard, time for you to do this in 2 minutes. What makes the PNC and you sure that this is the time that you can take the seat that has been occupied by the NDC all this while? In 2 minutes, deal with this.
First, let me say that I'm contesting Nadowli Kaleo constituency, and I want to use the opportunity to thank my constituency chairman, not my regional chairman in particular, my constituency chairman, and all the executives for making it possible for us to be in the race. Secondly, the chiefs, the people, the opinion leaders, and in particular the youth and women who have shown so much enthusiasm in my candidature. I thank them for the continuous support. It is not yet Uhuru until 7th December. We are assured and also guided that God is on our side. We shall win. Having said that, job opportunities in the Nadowli Kaleo constituency, totally absent. You have a constituency where 85% of employment is in the agricultural sector. Okay? And you do not have any commercial farming. In fact, 95.2% of that agriculture is in peasantry. That is, go to the farm, get something small to come and feed. There is the need to establish at least a minimum of 20 commercial farmers within that zone. Go and start from Chakpong. All the water bodies that are there, we can convert them into irrigable opportunities for our people. Not just for cropping, but also embark upon fishing so that we'll be able to ensure that our people get an all-year cropping, get employment, and increase income generation. That income generation will also fortify the assembly's internal revenue generation capacity, because once people get something, your tax opportunities are widened, and therefore we'll be able to do that. Now, when you come to tourism in the Upper West region, and in particular the Nadowli Kaleo constituency, our festivals are more than tourist potentials. Look, take the IEA festival of the people of Charles Sampina. Come and take the Zombente as adopted by the Imola people. Take the Kalibi festival. Take the Wila festival. Marketing these things will go a long way to ensure that the tourism potential of this area is enhanced. And you know what tourism is. Indeed, the research has indicated that if you go around the Vogoni area, we have a natural growth in that area. And that natural growth, which is all round green, is something that we can sell to our people. If you go to the Sankana rocks and caves that were used to defeat the Samori, what do we call it, slave powers, you notice that that is a huge tourist. Go to the Ombora. It is a huge tourism potential. And go to even the Sombo Porcupine Sanctuary. Many of these things need to be exposed so that people will get to know the development potentials.
30 more seconds.
And above all, youth development. Look, sports, arts are almost as if nobody cares about the youth. It is not all of us that can profit from the ink of the pen or the content of a book. And so those who have opted to do sports, football, volleyball, and many other sports, they should have advantage. They should take opportunity of the captains of sports that will be inviting to come and participate in the sporting tournaments that will be organized in the communities.
I'm grateful, Bernard Mona of the PNC, for your submission there. He's asking for the mandate of the people of the Nadowli Kaleo constituency of the Upper West region. That's where we're coming to you from this morning on +275. Now, let's stay on the constituency. You have at least diagnosed some of the challenges there. But Elvis, I am coming to you once again. Now, you said several things that suggest that these are what is pulling back the development of the constituency. What is it that has been the reason for this pullback? What kind of leadership is missing in there? That is why all this that you talked about have not been able to be developed to the extent that will help the people of the constituency.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bright. What is actually missing is responsible leadership. What is actually missing is the fact that people, the incumbent, have deliberately decided, not to understand the pain that people are going through and the fact that the constituency has greater potentials. These are the missing variables which, in my estimation, have culminated in these years of stagnancy in development and improvement in the lives of the people. In my opinion, and rightly so it is, I think that we have a lot of potentials in there. Let us consider the roads, for instance. We have a community that borders and actually feeds on agriculture. Everything there is about agriculture. The people are merely engaged in peasantry. Now, the fact that this is the case, it means that we should be able to open markets for them. But before that, we should be able to improve on productivity. We should be able to engage in, mechanized agriculture, which is actually one of the things my presidential candidate, president in waiting, is actually promising. If you look at the road sector, for instance, apart from the main road, as I said, you realize that nothing has been done. We have very bad roads, and I just have pictorial evidence of some of these roads here that is undermining development over the period. Let us just look at this. If your pictures can zoom it, this is the Cherry Namvili Road. This is the Cherry Namvili Road. This is the road people have to ply just to be able to access health, to be able to have education. This one is in Nadowli. If you look at this particular one very well, you realize this huge water body line down there. There is the need for a bridge over there. Then you realize that the people of Karboge and environs are unable to come closer. Let us talk about health. And you realize that the health sector, apart from the Nadowli Hospital, which haven't even seen doctors for some time now, but in recent times, is the only main hospital that is actually attending to the health needs of people. And these are very worrying developments we have in the constituency. If we want to talk of women, there is a need for women empowerment, which, in my opinion, there is a need for us to be able to establish a trade fund, which I will do in my tenure for women and youth groups to be able to source funding to do other things. An education endowment fund is what I will put out there for students to be able to access this fund to be able to move forward. Of course, my presidential candidate will be putting up a free SHS policy, which we haven't forgotten, and that will go to augment these things. We will do these things, and we will make sure that the people of Nadowli Kaleo actually have better lives to live.
We'll come to talk about education later on, but grateful for your time, Elvis Botta of the NPP. Let me go to Bernard. Bernard, of course, you talked about agriculture that is not getting the kind of support you would want to. You talk about tourism, and you talk about youth development. Now tell me, what is the kind of crisis that has engulfed the constituency? That is why perhaps all these potentials have been left. And what kind of leadership would you provide when you get elected as a member of parliament?
First, let me state in clear language that when you talk about agriculture, agriculture cannot survive without motorable roads. The farmers have to cut their goods from the farming centers to the marketing centers. And possibly Elvis may be taken on because he did not indicate that there is also another road from Wa through Zang and all the way to Hang and maybe to Mu. Okay? But those roads are not meant for the constituency. They are roads that are passing through the constituency to other places. You have the one also from Wa all the way to Hamele and into Burkina Faso, really. The purpose of that road is to Burkina Faso. Recently, our MP was heard talking that he's lobbied the Minister for Roads to come and work on roads. And what is he going to do? To come and add asphalt to the already existing roads. When what Elvis has just shown you is actually the true state of road network in the constituency. So if you have capacity and potential to lobby for roads, it should be to ensure that these other roads, the people who are denied for long, should have access to roads and not to come and add asphalt to an already established road. And so sometimes it's funny. The other important thing is that means that the MP actually doesn't have his priority rights. And prioritization in every society is important. Where you have wrong priorities, it will lead to the kind of things that our MP is doing. Currently, you can see and feel on the ground, boreholes are being sunk in almost on daily basis. I applaud that boreholes are being sunk now. But if in every 24 years, boreholes are now being sunk in the various communities, then it tells you that we can't continue to wait for another 24 years to begin to get these projects. What I think is missing is that we do not have the kind of forthright leadership that the constituency require. We do not have the kind of dedication to attend to the problems that we have. And indeed, as I said, look, Kamaruddin was the only player that we were able to get from that constituency for several years. And in sports, it matters. I know talents in that area that are superior than Asamoah Gyan, than Michael Essien. No alternative for these potentials to be tapped. And we want to expose all these things by organizing the sporting festivals, by organizing the chiefs and people so we can market our potentials. And above all, health is a major issue. If you go to the Nadowli Hospital, which is supposed to be the major hospital, and indeed, by the way, it appears that it is the best hospital in the Upper West region, you have 2 doctors in that hospital to take care of a population of over 70,000 people. Clearly, that is a huge deficit. You want to provide opportunities so that we'll be able to attract health workers into the district, into the constituency, and provide incentives to sustain their presence in the communities. There is also a sense of fear, rightly or wrongly, that anybody who is seen expressing a contrary opinion to what our MP holds, that person suffers in one way or the other. That may be rightly or wrongly. People have suffered because they are being transferred mostly to the Volta region, and I don't know whether it's a sort of punishment to the people. People have seen that their incomes are not coming. I want to become an MP where people can openly criticize me for doing the wrong thing. I want to become an MP where people can say that if you did this other thing, we could have improved the lot of our people. Allowing freedom of expression and allowing everybody to grow their potentials in the constituency is even greater.
I'm grateful. Bernard Mona of the PNC asking for the mandate of the people of the constituency. Elvis, quickly, a quick reaction there. Bernard was drawing your attention to the fact that perhaps some other roads are there, except that they are just passing through the constituency and not actually for the constituency. You want a quick reaction on that?
Well, definitely I will. Let us get it right. There is no road that has an origin and ends within a particular limit. There is no road that is mandated to end within certain boundaries. Of course, every road will pass through the constituency and will further continue to other places. So at the point Bernard raised,
No,
yes,
the
it's
point
neither
I
here.
raised- No, the point I raised is that you only talked about the Wa to Hamley Road. And I'm saying
Right.
that you will be taken on for ignoring the Wa through to the
High and,
Han to other
right.
road. It's not to say that what you said is invalid, but to say that just take note of
There's
this
only
other
one third road.
One
That's
third
what
road.
Elvis
The only
said.
other third road that
That is
exists
exactly
actually,
what I had said.
yes,
So
the
it is
only
not
other
you
third
who will-
road
who
that
will actually
exists
educate
is the
me on
road
rest.
is the road
The rest are there. We can go on and on and on with over 26 roads within.
No, I'm just saying that these are roads that are passing through. They are not actually roads that are
They are
dedicated
roads
to
that are needed to improve the lives of our people, and that we must be concerned about.
That is exactly
so
the
you
point.
should not have any qualms about this, because
No,
definitely.
Elvis, okay, it was only draw your
Yes.
attention to a fact that you made, that there's only one road, and I guess I'm sure you have understood that. I'm grateful for your time, but let's move on and deal with some other issues, particularly education, because it's key. Elvis, can you do a quick assessment of education in the constituency that you're asking for the mandate of the people? And from where you sit, how do you intend to help the people there, particularly when some have raised concerns that as members of parliament, your job is that of a legislature, and that sometimes you have very little lobbying powers to get things done. Assess education and how you intend to improve it when you get the mandate.
Education in Nadowli Kaleo constituency, three things I will say. One, lack of educational infrastructure, adequate educational infrastructure. Bright. Two, the inability of parents or guardians to be able to foot the bills of students in terms of cost of payment of fees into tertiary institutions and even second cycle institutions. That is the second thing. The third thing, which for me is very worrying, is actually the fact that performance in the BECE and in the WASI examination is steadily declining. Of course, but in all these things, what my major concern has always been is the fact that why would we have a leadership of someone for about 24 years now, and yet education and health, that are key things upon which life borders on, still seem to be a problem. Let me tell you one thing. If you have to move on educational, then you need institutions. In Nadowli Kaleo constituency, most of the basic institutions or basic schools is actually at the instance of the Roman Catholic Church. That is number one. Number two, we have just a secondary school in Nadowli. We have another in Kaleo. Okay, we have another in Tapo. Actually, if you look at these ones, the major one has to do with the Nadowli Kaleo, the Nadowli Queen of Peace, which is actually a secondary school also at the instance of the Roman Catholic Church. One college of education at the instance of the Roman Catholic Church. Now, what do we have to boast of? When it comes to payment of fees, you see most, because of the poverty levels, you see most students just walking about. So my leadership and the leadership of the NPP, we seek to ensure free education. We seek to establish, which I will do with my common fund. I won't go about, buying personal satisfactions with my common fund. I will put up an educational endowment fund that will allow needy but brilliant students to be able to access this fund to be able to go to schools. I'll be able to use common fund to be able to actually see that a number of people in sensitive professions like medicine are actually trained. So the state of education in the Nadowli Kaleo constituency is nothing home to write about. It's completely zero for us. Let me say it that way in terms of, in terms of the flying high. And these are peculiar issues I think we have. If given the opportunity, then I will want to establish at least a health institution in this particular place to allow the teeming masses of SSS graduates who want to go into the health sector to be able to access that kind of education they want. A lobby for a private university, if at least a government or a public institution is not working out, it's not absent from my mind, especially in the agric sector. So education is zero.
Iris, I'm grateful. I'll come back to you to ask you how well you use your lobbying powers if you get the money. But let me go to Bernard Mono of the PNC. Bernard, so education in Nadowli Kaleo, according to Elvis, faces challenges. Now, how do you intend to turn this round if you get the mandate of the people?
It appears that all districts that were, or constituencies that were created at the time that our constituency was in existence, for instance, have health training institutions. Some have been added. Go to Nandom and they have some health training institutions. Go to Jirapa, they have many health training institutions. Go to Tumu, they have health training institutions. Go to Laura, Nandom, and I'm saying that all these places have health training institutions. The Nadowli Kaleo constituency has no health training institutions, and yet our member of parliament was one time Minister for Health. A huge indictment that he could not attract just one single health training institution. For anything at all, it will help to accelerate the education of health personnel in the constituency. And above all, those who are trained and will have to go and do code, if it's housemanship or their internship, they will go into the various communities to be able to attenuate the health difficulties of our people. It is an area that is of concern to me, and it is important that we are able to bring about education even in health. Now, talking about the schools, you go to Charpon, they have Charpon Senior Secondary School now. This was done by a private person, and eventually now government has absorbed it. And if you go and see the paucity of infrastructure there, you will be amazed. Go to the Takpo Secondary School. They have about 104 students currently ongoing. There's no potential for expansion. The students, particularly the girls, are sleeping in a classroom block, and they are using their primary school. Certainly, you can't say that you have created a senior high school for a community where indeed they do not have anything. Above all, in the recent distribution of goodies to second cycle institutions in the country, Takpo Secondary was not given even a single vehicle. All others have been given sometimes 1, 2, 3. You understand? Some schools have gotten 1, 2, 3, and you have a deprived school like that. Not even a single vehicle could be lobbied for them. That is a dent on our part. The other important thing is that, look, we need to augment the sustainable retention of teachers in the communities. Look, teachers go there and there is deprivation. There are students, people who actually come from Nadowli, who are posted to just nearby community, Kuri, and they cannot stay there. They have abandoned it and they have joined camps and they are campaigning for others. You know the reason? Because if you go to Kuri now and you don't take time, you cannot cross back. So mostly within the rainy season, they have to buy bags of salt in order that they can survive within this period, because the entire area is engulfed. No passable roads, bridges are non-existent, and therefore once you get into the community, it's like you have been put into a dungeon. You have no route to escape. It is important that we look at all these things to ensure that people who want to access education can get it. See, where I sit today, I am useful to society, not only to my community, but Ghana and beyond, because I was able to go through school and because people attended to me. Now, it appears that incentive for teachers is non-existent. Can you imagine that students or people go to write SHS exams, JHS exams, and they have never seen a mass set? They don't know how a tri-square looks like. They don't know how a ruler looks like, and they are expected, particularly in mathematics area, to use protractor and what have you. It is important to provide our people with these basic things that will ensure that they also come face to face with practical things that will ensure and enhance their ability to pass exams. Above all, I think that it will be important that we continue to lobby to ensure that the deprivation of our area is become a thing of the past.
I'm grateful, Bernard Mona of the PNC, for your submission there. This is +275, the Election Command Center. We're telling you exactly how you there in the Nadowli Kaleo constituency can look at your aspirants asking for your mandate and perhaps make your choice as who gets that mandate to represent you in Parliament. My guest this morning, Elvis Botao of the NPP there, and Bernard Mona of the PNC. The incumbent Member of Parliament, Majority Leader, Mr. Kingsford Bagbin, failed to turn up for the conversation this morning on the show. But let's continue and take a deeper look at the issues on the ground there. Elvis, I'm again coming to you to look at this. Now, let's look at your lobbying powers as a Member of Parliament, your work as an MP, that of the Assembly and traditional leaders. How do you intend to use these stakeholders in bringing development to your constituency, particularly when some have suggested that the work of the MP is one of legislating and not one of bringing development?
Thank you very much, Bright. That has always been an erroneous conclusion a lot of people, draw, that the work of a Member of Parliament is just legislation. Of course, that could be that is actually the core mandate of a legislature. But we also have oversight responsibilities, where the MP is actually supposed to use his lobbying powers to be able to drag development into his areas. Let us look at the fact that MPs receive a portion of the District Assembly's common fund. In fact, they are entitled to an MP's common fund. What then is that meant for if their work is just basically to concentrate on lawmaking? So clearly, there is the need for us to understand that the MP has the moral right and is actually expected to spearhead developments. This, I do understand that you may not be able to do it alone because it's not a straitjacket. But of course, as MP, you are not certainly the only development agent in the constituency. You have the chiefs, you have people, you have opinion leaders, and of course, you have other stakeholders. So if given the nod, as member of parliament, and rightly what I think will happen come 7th December, I will actually put up, links with all major stakeholders, chiefs, people, assembly members, and what we have to do is to be able to, beyond relying on central government, use the common fund for very relevant issues that offers pragmatic solutions to the pitiable situations of the Nadowli Kaleo we have spoken about. Particularly as a business consultant by profession, we will not just end there. I want to bring my expertise to bear to be able to lobby by way of proposals and liaising with foreign agencies, foreign donors. We will search relentlessly to wherever we can have them preach the gospel of this pitiable situation of the Nadowli Kaleo people to them and ask for their assistance to be able to move forward and actually impact positively on the lives of people, so that the poor woman who cannot even have an NHIS card will be able to do that. The poor farmer who cannot afford fertilizer will be able to do that. The poor farmer who can afford tractor and other machinery to work will be able to do that. That is the kind of leadership we need. And that is the kind of leadership we have lost for 24 good years. Possibly, the reason why the majority leader and the incumbent is not here because there may be nothing to say in respect of this. I will not be selfish. I will engage every single person that matters, irrespective of clan and irrespective of the political divide you are coming for us to be able to form a formidable front that appeals to society to be able to support the furtherance of development in our area.
I'm grateful for that answer to the question. Bernard, let me quickly come to you. And of course, this issue of a member of parliament's core mandate, either as a legislature or a legislative organ in the House or that of a development agent. Now, how do you intend to rely on your lobbying powers as a member of parliament and perhaps apart from doing your legislative work, also contribute to the development of the constituency that you're asking for the mandate of the people who live there?
I will be an MP of the people, by the people and for the people. And in that direction, it is important that I do not sit down and think that I am the stock of all knowledge. We have traditional councils, we have paramountcies, we have electoral areas. And above all, it is important that we rally our chiefs and people quarterly so we can sit down with them so that development can evolve from them rather than sent to them. You have a committee like Changu, and their daily cry is that they need a motorable route. You go and construct a toilet for them. Or you promise them that you are going to construct a toilet for them, and you go and excavate a place, and their animals are even falling in, and you have not been able to construct it for the past 6 years. Clearly, it means that you are not certain. You are not taking the people's concern in order to do this. As an MP, you will have to organize, and I intend to organize quarterly discussions with our people so that they participate in the process of identifying what they want, so that together we'll be able to then chart a course of ensuring that we will be able to do so. As a person, even before becoming MP, we are lobbying for private sector investment to go there. A team is already in the Nyembali zone working on 100 megawatts solar farm for the area. Today, as we are speaking, another team is gone to Zini in the Sisala West constituency, and they are going, that's where the regional minister comes from, and through my instrumentality, they are going to talk to the chiefs and people But for this debate, I should have been there so that they will be able to deploy 20 megawatts of solar in that particular area. So it means that your ability to attract is not just limited to the House of Parliament, but you should radiate so that other investors will be able to come into your aid. You see, if you are in Parliament and your duty is to legislate, and particularly you are in government, and you are supposed to also supervise policy implementation. Massa, let me tell you, the government policy on scrapping allowances to training colleges of education and to nursing colleges is a bad one. Because most of our people, particularly in rural settings, their only way to ensure that they are able to go through the ladder of education is through installment education. And when we had the colleges of education and allowances, poor people who could not pay would get admission, and then the principals would admit them and take the school fees from their various allowances until they are able to pay, thereby allowing these poor people to be able to at least get some education, and from there they can graduate and move on. Today, government has scrapped that policy. Our MP, who is said to be a big MP anyway, and is the majority leader, and is in government, is supporting the idea that these poor people should be denied access to education because they cannot pay. And once they cannot pay, it means that how can you go and get a loan when you do not have a collateral? But with the colleges of education system where allowances were paid, you could only use your letter of admission and tell them that I'm granted some allowances over the period that I'll be in school, and therefore you could use that as a collateral to get some financial support to go through education. These are the things that I'll be protesting and saying that these are bad laws, these are bad policies that will be inimical to rural poor, particularly that of the Nadowli Kaleo constituency.
I'm grateful. Bernard Mona of PNC there, and Elvis Botar of the NPP, the incumbent Member of Parliament, failed to turn up for this conversation. And let's begin to wrap up our discussions this morning by looking straight into the eyes of your constituent, because they have been listening to you for the past 30-45 minutes, and now they want to hear you speak in your local language and sum up precisely why you think that they should vote for you, what you do for them, and when they give you the mandate to represent them in Parliament. Elvis, I'm starting with you.
Barkaya gaza Nadowli Kaleo deme, barkaya gaza charpome, barkaya gaza chang deme, barkaya gaza kanyine, anen a constituency biriza. Mboron ka kandi puru kwenkuye, ache yilkuye ka ya memmenne na nye doge anen tolon bore nang pierete. Tinye wure na po NDC anen bagwin nande a ente yumunga za timbanya malo za timbaka yil nane za mboron ka kaya banka kayenin bindar kamanya pie ya po konsa tambu tana dangosie kayenin kuma tampime kankwe mo na kon yananya na bongbe mboron ka kan yil kuya ka ya kwobu yele na tana nimiri mbon ka kan yil kuya ka biri sakuri yele na tana nimiri mbonka kan yelkweka nana akufu ado na yena na venka emarun akpete a charnin ti yelwoni ngaza ka bebrin wabie yeyi adinu bie akoma ka bebrin wabie yeto ine nana akufu ado ele yeyi adinu bie ku kenin dinu bie kunyo mbanke na di kuma cha konta so mokoto bonso kanu yon azingadien nkumbanta abon na yana mboro na le poti atawa ku yeke popele te za banka bazun ka manga ba piereda kenu wa lokuma ya loko nana akufu ado kateko ya za gongon aningana demeza nimbere nana na tataga kote nimbere nan kon ebelle aninzri nimbere nana venkarga nimitore ya barka ya.
I'm grateful. Elvis, I'm grateful. Bernard, your time now to speak to your constituent directly.
Tinamine to yiri nimbera nzomine mamine ntabi pola posarhe yoninga numbi ziyete kategra kuwa at Nadowli Kaleo constituency. When kanye tin walanzembo kanye tin sor ayelyela yagaza mangule anana manna e akokworba yelenka batar sorza kananda kworba katina manzinzine adire doge katina bo libi makanga anadibin ka kwora za amambora ka kotiko ka timantuan sumo ka fertilizer la ombora karsumo ka trata la ko bora karsumo ka bumbiela anan bombora ombora karsumo ko dai abombora nga atwante ko nan ibara ona bang mana mine ati yo osama chedi mineming atwa malening yela anna venkati birgan mitore kana wata to school yela yelen katina sumen abobon kama yaka education endowment fund abin kabiriza amanto ngabe at dibon kan adigan school kania za ata mantezeni ya kan de odinoren atorelen kan mana atepe ka ka hogba kombanya adana cheka timam banzini annabe ka homante dia allo yibe te so e basuma che dare tinyande wonkati MP len ka ba wana ne ko tar ka ba lodol ko tar zu cheka ti yeba suma anta ka keleo ade graham le sorna anaba na lodol ko tar allo te de wa awatuzang adgarana anaban no lotu dol kutare cheka atitimbili ngaza atipili namvili achin len woti yicharpen wo yitangasiye bunza abachibe mba mine za nambi tangaziye ati zire awaga yelenka yoninga nan otana yiri tekpenda sombo daya yon le zara anen anara yeven kar pesan kana damen anye ka ayiri onaba malembe azum man wanen menga ka kiya vote kuma vote ndara yakara son yana nye bi Paul Viela yana nye do ani kube daw na mare kia ka ben adudu chaka tegara wakati iri konya malu mpuri eza barka.
I am grateful. Bernard Mono of the PNC. So another hack for your constituency. Gentlemen, I'm so grateful for your time. Two of the contestants in that constituency, Bernard Mona of the PNC and Elvis Bota of the NPP there. The incumbent member of parliament, Alban Kingsford Bagman, refused to turn up for the conversation. Those of you who watched us from your homes offices, we're grateful that you stayed there to be part of our show. This is the Election Command Center.